Welcome back to my channel. Today's task is to replace the heater core of this V60 Volvo. This car has already had the coolant system flushed and a new thermostat installed, but the issue of poor heating at idle persisted. So the next step is replacing the heater matrix. The ballpark of the procedure shown will be applicable to all P3 Volvos, surely the S60, V60 and XC60, with some small differences across the rest of the P3 models. Let's dive into it. First things first, we need to drain the coolant system, or specifically what's inside the engine block. If you have a 5-cylinder diesel, one way of doing is by unplugging one of the hoses from the oil radiator mounted to the back of the engine. To speed up the process, unscrew the coolant reservoir cap. Next, we remove the interior parts blocking access to the heater matrix. You'll see later in the video, but basically the location of the heater matrix is just behind where the climate control console is. The nice thing is that you will need to remove the entire dashboard to access it, although it's still not the most pleasant place. If your car is automatic, an important step is to switch the gear lever to neutral. There's a small hole under the central console into which you can insert your key blade or a screwdriver, and by pushing the plastic pin you can release the shift lock. Make sure you put the handbrake on. To remove the climate control console, we start with removing the two hidden T25 torque screws behind the console. Carefully remove the air vents. This will give access to 6 more screws which hold the climate control module in place. Pull the console up carefully and disconnect the electrical connector. It's advisable to disconnect your battery beforehand. It turns out we need to remove the tonneau console to be able to remove the last part of the climate control frame. Disconnect carefully the air ducts. To open the casing where the radiator hides, we need to remove the 6 torque screws staying on the way. One of our assistants coming to give us a hand. Interesting observation, you can't remove the plastic casing without dismantling the gear selector. We cheated a bit just by rotating it slightly, which made enough space for the plastic lid to come out. And there we go, we have access to the heater matrix. Now we need to disconnect the coolant hoses from the radiator. To do that, we need to first remove the plastic protective cover, which is held by 2 torque screws. We now have access to the coolant hoses, so we want to remove the clamps connecting them to the radiator. After removing the clamps, the radiator could now be removed. Due to the O-rings, hoses could be stuck to the matrix, so you may have to jiggle them a bit. And there we go, matrix is out. We clean the spilled coolant and prepare to install the new heater core. So this is the new radiator kit. It's not an original product, but it contains the new O-rings and clamps, which is the important thing. After replacing the sealants and clamps, we could proceed with inserting the radiator. I found this to be a relatively hard job due to the tight space around the coolant hoses. I had to push them against each other quite hard until I was able to put the clamp back on properly.
Five hours later.
Take your time and make sure clamp sits properly between the hose and the radiator. We fuel again the engine with coolant. This liquid is like a few months old, so replacing it wasn't worth it, especially as we wanted to try the newly installed electric block heater. Last time it burned the coolant, possibly due to the block heater matrix, so we want to see what's gonna happen now. To bleed the coolant system, we start the engine and let it warm until thermostat opens. Then we top up with liquid. Procedure is repeated a few times until desired coolant level is achieved in the coolant reservoir. Alternative way of filling coolant is by using a vacuum kit. That's entirely up to you. We check for any leaks and then proceed with putting everything back together. After a few hours of sweating, job is finally done. We run a quick diagnostics to clear some of the fault codes due to disconnecting the battery and some modules. Checking the efficiency of the heating now, it's noticeably better, so we take this job as done. Thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and see you next time.